Good morning, Ema Peter. Welcome on VH Berries.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You are one of the finest interior and architectural photographer, and I believe that you have entered more prestigious homes and buildings than any real estate agent.
I'm sure I have actually. I think that especially in the last few years, we've been working on some of the most incredible buildings in Vancouver and internationally. So yeah, it's been a fun job for sure.
Ema Peter, I would love to retrace your journey and listen to your stories. First, as a young adult, it started in Sofia, the capital of the Balkan nation of Bulgaria.
Yes, it started a long time ago. Actually, it started with my dad, who's a filmmaker, and as a child, I was always around him, so I would see how they lights all of the movies, like all of the production, interior, exterior. So it was a very good learning experience for me. And I wanted to follow his footsteps, but I was going more towards photography. He loved photography as well. And as a child, he used to black out our kitchen because we didn't have a dark room almost every night. And he used to print photos. And I remember as a 5-6-year-old, I thought that there is nothing more magical than seeing the photo come out in the developer, because at that point we didn't have digital photography, didn't exist. It was an immediate satisfaction of seeing images. You had to wait to actually see what the image is going to look like, and it was magical. So it started there, and then I went into the National Academy of Theatre and Film Art in Sofia. And I was the only female in the class, and in the year, cinematographers, photographers, I was the only female. And I had an incredible professor who was a huge fan of Henri Cartier-Bresson. And so this was one of those moments when I feel I collided with photojournalism, and for me, photojournalism was the path. I thought that this will be my path forward.
You just mentioned it. You went to a school called NATFA, Krastyo-Sarafov, for arts and applied photography.
Yes, exactly. So our professor who took the class, because with us it's only one person who leads the class, he was really sensitive towards people and moments. And for him, Cartier-Bresson was just God. And he taught us to just experience moments and to chase moments. And for us, pressing the button wasn't something that we're doing because we can do it. We were just waiting for those decisive moments. We were waiting like Cartier-Bresson waited to actually create this incredible image. And lucky enough, after I finished university, I had the opportunity I applied for Magnum, and a photo agency, which is, as you know, one of the top agencies in the world for photojournalists. And I honestly didn't expect that I'll get an answer. Nobody expected I'll get an answer. But I did, and I went there, and I was an intern, and it was probably one of the most unbelievable experiences in my life. Being in Paris, being in the Parisian Bureau of Magnum changed my life completely. I started experiencing life in a very different way, and I experienced photography in a different way. In the bureau, we had Cartier-Bresson was still coming in the bureau. I was, those were my idols: Kudelka, Abbas, René Burry. All of them, all of those giants of photojournalism were alive, and they were walking always around the studio with their Leicas and taking photos of the interns. And to be honest, the first night in Paris, I remember we went to a party, and I was so shocked that all of these people are around me. I remember drinking a little bit too much champagne and ending up hardly managing to get myself back to my apartment. But for me, it was this unbelievable experience where we were shoved in the archives, the interns, of course. We were not doing something special, but we had to do selections for different magazines. And we were looking at 2,000-3,000 images a day. And I keep saying it's extremely important to look at images of good photographers, because this trains your eye so well. We were talking eye is a muscle. The eye is a muscle, and the eye actually training it by looking at photos of the best photographers is like extremely important. So I remember after I would finish working during the day, I would walk around Paris. And it got to the point, because I was looking at so many images, that I started seeing everything in frames. I was walking around Paris, and instead of seeing normal life in front of my eyes, I could see what image I can make. I could see every single image, even when I was on the bus. It was actually really strange, but this is how I am today. I can walk in a building and I can actually see the frame very, very quickly. But this happens with patience.
By the way, Bulgar is a language with a very fascinating alphabet.
Yes, it is. It is. The Cyrillic alphabet is quite interesting. So, like, very similar to. I mean, we can read Russian, which is kind of a great thing. But honestly, learning new languages is sometimes quite hard because we're so different. But at the same time, I was studying English since I was 3, and my French was horrendous. When I arrived, everybody was talking to me in French. And I remember being absolutely petrified that I don't speak, and all the other interns did. But they were coming from Switzerland or other countries that, like, I think it was more of a thing for them to speak French than us. So I had a hard time in the beginning. I think I messed up quite a lot of work because I was pretending I know French, and I was just going with the flow.
So in Bulgaria, being a TV anchor on the Bulgarian national TV was one of your first job, as well as being an intern at Magnum studio in Paris.
Yes. So yeah, I became a TV anchor, and it was an entertainment show, but it was a lot about photography as well. So we used to. It was great, honestly. But I think at that point in my life, I was very, very uncomfortable in front of camera. So it took every piece of self-confidence I had. Now I have no problems talking into a camera, but like then, as a young females do, like I was so worried about how would I appear that I think it was almost a painful experience. But at the same time, it taught me so much. Working with the Bulgarian National Television, and I had an incredible director and incredible producer, and it gave me opportunities to get out of my shell because I was very sensitive, I was very shy, and it kind of threw me into the deep end. But up to this day, I'm grateful, because when I do public appearances or any sort of talks, this helps tremendously.
And Ema Peter, when you look back at all these years, how do you perceive it?
Oh my God. So I mean, I think I should have enjoyed it more, to be honest, because I was on covers of magazines and things like this. I should have enjoyed it more and pushed more into it. I looked at it as a means of getting money, because still, like, I mean, those times were quite hard in Bulgaria. So I was helping my parents. So for me, this was giving me a little bit of independence. But at the same time, I wish I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed kind of a little bit the fame or this type of an experience, because it doesn't happen to a lot of people to be on national TV. So if I have an advice for my younger self, is just try to get out of your shell and enjoy it more.
And then you decided to cross the Atlantic Ocean to move to Canada, Vancouver. And I noticed that your work remains in 3 main types of projects: architectures, residentials, and hospitality.
Yeah, I mean, when I arrived in Canada, I arrived with my huge portfolio, black and white portfolio of photojournalism. Like, this was what I wanted to do. But, I mean, in Canada, like, there wasn't much events happening like they did in Eastern Europe. You know, I was there when we were fighting against the socialist regime as a student. Like, we were on the streets, the parliament was burning. So I had a lot of material to work on. And here is like mini paradise. Not much is happening, like, from that perspective. So I really didn't know what to do. So I literally knocked on every door to see where I can fit. And of course, nobody wanted to give me a job because I didn't have Canadian experience. I was 24 years old, and no matter that I had the education and I had all of the credentials and exhibitions behind me and Magnum, like people here just it wasn't the same. You can't just knock and find a job. So but at the end of it, I did. I found a job. The only company that hired me was VRX Studios, who were exclusively working for Expedia at that point. They were the main group that was providing images for Expedia. So they hired me with my Bulgarian passport to travel around the world and take photos of hotels and resorts. Which you can imagine, like the Americans shut me down immediately because they said I'm Eastern European and I will potentially emigrate in Canada, no matter that I had a house and a mortgage and a husband here. And so I ended up in Mexico. They sent me to Mexico to photograph, and it was one of those unique experiences, and my ties to Mexico are really strong because of it. I was feeling life doors open. You know, like you have those moments when you feel how life is changing. And this was really the first time that I was completely on my own, traveling from a hotel to a hotel. And we're talking about 5-star incredible hotels around the world. And to be honest, I felt freedom. I felt like I can achieve anything. And the fact that somebody gave me a job, I was so grateful that it pushed me more and more and more to do better and better, because I wanted to prove that they haven't hired me just like this, that I can actually be that person for them and be that rock star for the company. And little by little, I just started doing additional things, and I started proving myself even more. And I became head of photography very quickly. So I was actually responsible for the global team that was doing the Expedia's work. I used to go with the CEO, with the business development manager, CFO. I was traveling to present to Hilton brands, to all of the brands in Hilton, do presentations on how exactly I want photography to be happening for their brand, specific brand, or for the different brands. So it gave me a lot of business knowledge as well. So I feel in Canada, this company will always stay in my heart so much. And I'm still so close with the group that actually took care of me from a business sense, the CEO, the CFO, the business development manager, because they saw something in me. They saw that I'm not only a photographer, they saw the business side of me. And I'm very grateful for this knowledge as well.
And with this freedom, as you said, basically what you are doing every day is chasing the decisive moment. This includes training your eyes like a muscle to better trigger our emotions.
Exactly. I feel at the end of the day, nowadays, people are bombarded with images from absolutely everywhere. Think about it. We have images coming our way, and all the advertisement on TV, they're coming from everywhere. So we're bombarded by these vivid images trying to sell us something or trying to engage us with something. And at the end of the day, what people need is peace, they need love, they need Zen. So I've realized more and more that you need to make people feel comfortable. You need to make people experience life the way you do. And you need to be very genuine. I'm hearing this a lot recently, especially through social media. They're saying, okay, we're following you because we feel like we know you. We feel like you're genuine in what you're doing. And my key goal is exactly to make sure that people realize I'm a human being. I am up from 5 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night on shoots. But my main goal is to show architecture in a more humane way. And as you're saying, I'm trying to train people to recognize that one image, the stronger image, because this helps my clients as well. I mean, if people can stop at my images, that means that they're stopping at their projects. They're actually looking at their projects. And this is what my aim is actually my clients to be visible as well.
Absolutely, because from my point of view, when I'm watching your photography, if I had to define your style, I would say that it's a lot of patience and dedication, plus a cruel selection between your photograph to keep the best of them.
Exactly. No, I feel, I actually know, I can feel the moment. I don't press the button without actually really feeling the moment. So I feel at the end of the day, for me, this experience is incredible personally. So when I'm standing in front of a building at 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting for the sun to come up, and a lot of people say, oh, the building doesn't really look like this. When they see the images afterwards. And I'm always saying, no, the building does look like this. The building is this. But we're so busy actually in our daily life, and we never get up early in the morning to experience the city anymore. We never get up, stay at sunset and look at the buildings. We don't experience life anymore through our eyes. We experience it through social media or through our phones somehow. We never just look at the sky without taking a photo, or if there's a rainbow, you'll pull the iPhone and take a photo. So in a way, I feel like we've lost the ability to see, and I'm kind of trying to remind people that we need to actually slow down and actually look at the world around us. That's one of the key things for me.
And because of you, Ema Peters, I discovered that they are chimneys that do not touch the ground. It has the same shape as the mercury of a thermometer.
Exactly. We were photographing something like this just recently. There's so many unusual things. There are reflections. there is so much that happens with a building. I mean, the architects put so much thought in it, and somehow architecture is looked very much into, oh my God, this building is good or bad. Like people always are so ready to criticize without actually experiencing the building fully. So definitely my key goal is to show architecture in a different way.
And as you mentioned earlier, with the sun coming up at 5 a.m., the temperatures of your photograph depends a lot of the natural lights from red to blue.
Totally. So like with us, like I definitely try to work with the building on the color temperature. Sometimes the cooler color temperature works really well. But sometimes I pump up the color temperature to get a really vivid, like more warmer effect. So again, it all comes from what emotion you want to evoke. It is a bit of a game, like with the buildings. So but again, this comes, I feel, with experience. You start learning what are the best aspects of how to present a building to its best. Yeah, no, I'll start again. We definitely work with the different buildings to make sure that the color temperature, I mean, sometimes I do it much cooler, sometimes I pump up the color temperature to be nice and warm. The whole idea, again, is to evoke emotion, to make people feel like they're seeing this building for first time, no matter that it's like in the middle of the city. And with residential interiors, we try to, even if it's rainy day, we try to have streaming light. We put strobes outside. We create streaming light so we can evoke again that emotion. So it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun as well.
You are often using the blue color of the skies to balance colors on your photograph. Would you be interested in taking pictures of rocket launches?
Oh my God, I'll be interested in everything. I do the craziest things. So I would be interested to do just about anything. If you see what I do, I hang from buildings. Like I'm a bit of a daredevil. I don't have that fear factor. Like my assistant and my second shooter, like Tina, she's always petrified that I'm hanging from somewhere. But I would do anything. I would do pretty much anything that it's exciting, because I'm so high on that adrenaline rush always. This job is adrenaline rush. You're always chasing something. So for me, the higher the adrenaline, the better. So definitely rocket launches are going to be a great thing to photograph as well.
You like to do everything, but there is one thing that you don't really appreciate, which is the competition, because you prefer the collaborations.
I do. Do you know, like, I am competitive. Like, I'm a female in a very male industry. So in a way, I've always wanted to prove myself. And as well as I'm an immigrant in a country. So I think that those things combined always will make you want to be competitive. But do you know, like in Magnum, all of those top guys used to sit down and have a drink and discuss things. And I always talk about how much I would love to be in those ages where Hemingway used to sit with Dali, and like when the Fitzgeralds were with these huge groups of writers and painters, and they all collaborated, they bounced ideas of each other. And I feel this is slightly getting lost in our generation. I feel that the desire to win or to get the project or something else, like, kind of moves us away from actually working together. And I've surrounded myself now with photographers that I really enjoy their work of, but I also, here in Vancouver, I am surrounded by people that are doing progressive work in architecture, doing sustainability work, doing sustainable design, like painters that are doing incredible work. So, and we do go out and have that a little bit of conversation. What exactly is your purpose? Because yes, I could be that architectural photographer that does an incredible work, but at the end of the day, if we look at history, how can I contribute to a bigger goal? How can I pivot perceptions? How could I, what is my real purpose? And I think that at some point in life, you get to that point when you're asking this question: what else can I do? Would I be a photographer that works only with architects that do sustainable work? Would I want to showcase something different about the buildings, about the way they're built, or about the whole process? Would I want to record the work of some great architect who, I mean, we have Arthur Erickson here, that his work is unbelievable. And he was one of our biggest architects. Like, but you need to find some sort of purpose, because photographing for the sake of photographing is not enough. Like, when you reach a point in your career where you've kind of won the awards, you've been into the magazines, you start thinking, what else can I contribute to society? Because otherwise we're here without any purpose.
If I understood correctly, Ema Peter, you are saying that you would love to make a podcast with Picasso and Hemingway.
I would love that. If I have one wish, probably will be to go back and to talk to all of those, especially from that generation of people, to just spend a little bit of time with them, to see how their brains work, or to just be there to see, because they had the same struggles, they had the same, but they created history in such a beautiful way. So I would, if I can, this will be my biggest goal, one wish would be to go back and to actually spend a little bit of time with them, to go to a party with all of these people.
And drink a bit of wine, yes. So in the span of these last 12 years, what were your favorite projects? And do you have any stories related to them?
Well, one of my favorite projects that I always refer to was, it was a swimming pool in Lower Mainland here in British Columbia. It just, like, it was a moment, and this image became very famous. It's a diver jumping from one of the boards, from the 10-meter board. And it just, everything combined in then one image, like the light, the shadow, the jumper. And I was pregnant at that point. I was 8 months pregnant, I remember. And I was thinking, I was pushing so much my boundaries to actually be there in this hot environment, in a swimming pool environment. And then I was looking at the diver, that she was Olympic team junior diver. She was pushing her limits as well. And then I knew the architect is female, and she's pushed her limits tremendously to actually achieve this stunning project that won so many awards. So there are moments like this where I feel things combine that for me are very, very special. But I have to tell you, like, almost every single day, I'm doing something different. I'm experiencing something different. And I almost, with every project, I try to create something that surprises me as well. Surprises the architect, because one of the biggest one of the best things I've ever heard is when an architect turns to me and says, I have never seen this image. They look at the building like from the model, from the sketch, from the model to when it's completed. And when you actually can do an image to surprise them, this is one of the biggest satisfactions I have actually received. So like from a perspective of favorite project, I would say more it's a favorite thing. And this favorite thing is exactly the architect's reaction or my reaction when I actually know I've gotten the shot. You know, you just feel it, you know it when you press the button that you've gotten that shot. But yeah, many favorite projects, honestly. Like the C2 Opera House in Hong Kong was incredible to photograph, just diving in a completely different environment with literally, like, I mean, in Hong Kong, like you pull your tripod out and you have like about 100 people with probably better tripods and cameras than you, but they're just amateurs that are there photographing. So it's like experiences like this, cultural experiences as well, like when you're photographing are amazing. So a lot of favorite projects, but I would say it's the moments and it's also the surprising of the architects that for me like matter the most.
And on this swimming pool project, the light was perfect, the frame was perfect, but there is something that you don't necessarily do is to retouch the pictures because you are only focusing on one skills.
Yeah, I think that I'm surprising every photographer and everyone who I talk to. I don't own Photoshop. I do not want to own Photoshop. I feel... I remember reading Gladwell about the 10,000 hours that you need to become brilliant at what you do. You need 10,000 hours to perfect it. And for me, I believe that like photography is what I love doing. Photography is what I'm good at. And for me, like doing the Photoshop work is watering it down. And even when I didn't have any money to pay image editors, it was cutting from my cost. From the very beginning, I have had an image editor with me who does the post-production, he or she, and I feel I'm not interested in sitting down and doing this. I know exactly what I want from them. I train them because I know exactly what I want, but at the same time, I don't know anything about Photoshop. I don't know how to open it. I don't own it. So like it's the perfect case scenario for me.
Absolutely, because personally, I think that I would be at 150 hours in photography.
Yeah, I think I'm over the 10,000 hours for sure. Like when you think about my first camera was at 6 years old. So like, I'm 43 now. So it is a lot of years of holding a camera. And I feel this is it. You just need to stick to the one thing you love. I think a lot of people water down their work by doing so many things. Focus on one thing. The really good people, as we were talking, Hemingway wrote, like Dali painted. Like, I doubt that they just had a moment when they said, oh, I'm going to be a singer or I'm going to do something else. I feel like in the society nowadays, people become unsuccessful at one thing and they suddenly decide that if they swap and they do something else, they're going to be more successful. That's totally untrue. Like, if you cannot succeed at one thing, no matter how difficult it is, to push yourself to succeed at something, even if you don't love it. If you manage, I always say, if I wasn't a photographer and say I was a cleaner, I would be the best cleaner in the world. I'm going to make sure that there is no one that is like me. And even everything that I do as a side thing, I feel like I always do the same. I push as hard as possible to achieve what I want, because I feel giving up, even if it's for the smallest thing, even if it's during your day, you give up on something. You say, okay, no, I'm going to do this later, or I don't feel like doing this right now. I feel that's a spiral. And then it is very hard to go back up. And when you allow yourself to do this with one thing, you'll allow yourself to do this with a lot more things. So pushing is important in life.
You were pregnant and now you have a 4 years old son. How would you describe the impact of him on your work? Because I found that love is a huge side of it.
Oh, totally. I have 2 kids. I have a 9 and a 4. I think that's, do you know, I tried again. I tried to do the same. I tried to defy somehow those boundaries of, women disappear from the workforce between 30 and 40 because of their kids. And as hard as it is to leave your child, I feel that my boys will grow up knowing that their mother achieved something, that she was strong, that she kept pushing for their interests, but she also managed to push for her interests. But it is not easy, because just trying to be a mom and trying to be there and knowing that your kid wants you to be there and you're doing something else, like, it's one of the hardest things possible, especially for a mom. But it made me grow as a person, or made me 10 times more busy, I would say. And at the end of the day, I think that my children are definitely, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with them, because they're not following the linear path of other kids. Neither of them has been in the ordinary. And it's going to be fun to actually teach them to be different, or teach them to look at the world in a different way. But very hard, to be honest. Like, being a female again in this industry, I had to not say with my second pregnancy to people that I'm pregnant, because I remember with the first one, the emails that were circulating when I informed clients that I'm pregnant was that I'll never come back. And this will never happen to a male photographer. They say, hey, my wife is expecting a baby. This will never happen. So I feel you need to actually, there's so many regulations and ideas that people have, and rules that women will stay home after they give birth. Not in France. Funny enough, all my friends and relatives there, this is not the perception there, but in here, it's definitely the perception. So it was hard from that perspective, but it was very much worth it.
10 times busier with your kids. This is a very relevant part of your speeches, because you often say that people that are very successful, they have a family life, they have a full-time job.
Yeah, no, I think you need to look at it from a different perspective, and it's possible to juggle. You need a lot of support network, but honestly, there are moments when I'm working super late, then I'm coming home, I'm putting the kids to bed, and then I'm working additionally in the evening. And I think that's, like, with the irregular hours of architectural photography, it's just hard to juggle that. And also, like, the whole idea, it's so funny. The internet shows you this crazy idea of what like mothers should be, or what the whole experience should be. It's so not true. Like, they present this beautiful idea of the kids and the family in beautiful photos. Like, I'm watching on Instagram, so many women present this idea that this is what family life looks like. No, it doesn't. Like, in most of the times, you're running like crazy, you're shouting at everybody, you're trying to shove kids in the car to go to school, you're trying you're on a photo shoot listening to someone, like, I mean, somebody calls you from the school, or from the nanny who's taking care of your kids. You never have a peace. Like, you have to almost split, but manage to do two jobs at the same time. And this is a mother's thing, I think, like, definitely. But honestly, if somebody told me how busy it is, I don't know. I maybe would have stayed with the one. Like, it's hard. It is hard.
This is between happiness and chaos. And I guess that with your profession, you are influencing them with the photography. They are taking pictures with their iPad, phones.
The little one loves the camera. Like, I have to say, I don't push them to do anything that they don't like. My older son is into coding, and he already codes games, and he does 3D printing. So he's a very much of a numbers person, which I definitely am not. I hardly finished school because of mathematics. But the little one loves the camera, and he doesn't like the iPad. He loves the big camera. So I have gotten him a fairly significant size camera, so he walks around with it, and it's quite entertaining to see him. I will encourage him if he decides to go that route, but I just want them to be their own people. I never push. I never do anything to change their path somehow.
Ema Peter, do you have any books, recommendations, or advice for the photographers and beginners?
Do you know, I don't have books. I have ideas. And my idea is find your 10 best photographers, the 10 photographers you love the most, but they have to be from the top of the range. And then keep looking at their images. Don't look at thousands of images of other people. Just focus on training your eye. I think I learned more. I finished university with an old Practica, which was didn't have even automatics in it. I used old Russian film material to roll into canisters to actually shoot on it because I didn't have money for film. And I learned from old Russian books that actually I had no knowledge about strobes or more complicated equipment. It was more talking about classics of how to do a Rembrandt triangle and things like this. So I've learned more from the time I spent in Magnum and looking at images than from any book. And I think that no book is going to teach you, as I was saying, what the eye will be trained to see. So I feel like this is the biggest advice I can give to people is find those 10, even 20 photographers that are top of the range in the area that you want to work with. And then just look at their images. Just constantly look at their images. Look at how they use light. You look at how they catch moments. I think that there's no better way of learning for photographers than the visual way.
I enjoyed talking to you. That was great. Thank you so much, Ema Peter. I won't forget anytime soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's lovely what you're doing, and I think that it's exposing different professions and showing what people are doing in a very casual but very interesting way. So good job to you too.